All right, so another day that ends with Y, that ends with a commission lawsuit. So we can't get enough of these, not only in the industry, but on this channel, apparently. So here, the latest videos have been commission lawsuit after commission suit, commission suit. So my apologies on that. This one comes courtesy of Illinois. So we're going to see, this is a little bit different. So I think you're going to get something a little bit different, because this is one of the rare instances where it's actually the buyers as opposed to the sellers. So this particular article comes to us courtesy of Inman. Illinois' third commission suit names App Properties champions buyers. So App Properties is a large brokerage in the Illinois market. So let's see. A Chicago homebuyer is seeking class status in a new commission lawsuit filed against App Properties, Christie's International Real Estate, alleging Illinois' largest brokerage engaged in a conspiracy to keep agents' compensation high. So again, this one is a little bit different in the sense that it's from a homebuyer. We've had some homebuyer lawsuits in the past, but they're few and far in between. Is typically the home seller, and in this case, this is one of the rare times where NAR is actually not named specifically. They are mentioned several times in the lawsuit, but they're not sued specifically. This is just going after the App Properties brand. So let's continue. All right, so the latest bucks that trend. Let me go back. While many of the suits filed before and after the October verdict have been led by home seller plaintiffs, the latest bucks that trend by taking up the argument that home buyers are hurt by high commissions. So again, in this case, we're talking about home buyers, which is a little bit different. The suit was filed in Cook County Circuit Court on December 8th, but was moved to U.S. District Court in Northern Illinois January 5th. It joins three others filed in Illinois. So you have Baton and Morrell, which is one of the more famous ones, both scheduled for trial this year. And Baton was one of the few lawsuits filed by home buyer plaintiffs before. So this one was one of the few. Again, you typically see home sellers being the ones that do the lawsuit when it comes to the commissions. So this one of the things that I've been noticing, or one of the things that I really like to call out whenever we bring up these particular suits, how far back they're trying to go. In this case, they're really taking it to App Properties, aka the entire industry. In this case, it's not just this particular brokerage that's being under attack; it's all of us. Because if this were to be successful, then you're going to have more copycat brokers, and anybody that ever bought a house in the history of ever is going to try to get an attorney at no cost to them. The attorney's just going to charge 40 to 60% of the earnings. So for them, it's found money. But anyway, before you go into too much of a rabbit hole, I like seeing how far back they're trying to go. And in this case, they're trying to go back 24 years now, which is insane. Which is absolutely insane. Of course, I don't particularly think this was going to do all that well in actual court. It's going to do incredibly well in the court of public opinion, but I don't think it's going to do that well in court, all things considered. But let's read this in the relationship, or how they affiliated it to NAR. While, what is that? Tukori complaint doesn't name the National Association of Realtors as a defendant. It mentions the group extensively and alleges that App Properties benefited from NAR rules and principles. You're going to see what they're alleging here shortly. The complaint calls NAR a co-conspirator in the alleged conspiracy and homes in various rules and requirements for accessing multiple listing services. So this has to do with the way that the agents have access to the MLS and certain search features that they're alleging now. Specifically, the complaint seized on NAR's rules requiring listing brokers to offer compensation to a buyer broker. So we know that whenever you're putting something on the MLS, there's something that you have to put other than zero on the buyer agent box, preventing buyer agents from making offers contingent on a reduction of the buyer agent commission. It doesn't do that, but that's what they're alleging, and restricting Logbux access to only NAR members. So there's several things. We as agents, as we know, there's several things to that, like the accessing the lockbox. There are certain ways that you could get around that in terms of getting a 1-day access, a 1-day pass. If you're in a different jurisdiction or in a different location, you as an agent can go and access those particular lockboxes. If you so chose, that's one way. And then if we go back here, we're preventing buyer agents from making offers contingent on a reduction of buyer agent commission. That well, I guess we'll go to the next point because that's something that is directly tied in. Now, I encourage you to go and check out the rest of this article, but I want really what it's trying to tie in here is this. The complaint alleges that NAR rules permitted agents to filter listings on the MLS to show properties with higher buyer side commission offers, which it said promoted steering clients toward those listings. So here's the thing. One of the dirty little secrets that we as agents know is that whenever you're able to filter out those homes that are not 3% commission, you would have problematic agents, and let's just be honest here, they would have problematic agents that wouldn't show those properties that were below 3%. Now, at least in our MLS, Netris MLS, North Texas Real Estate, I guess information systems, Netris or Matrix, here in North Texas, you don't necessarily have a button that says commission only or the commission has to be this, but there is a little feature where you could go into the notes and call that out to where you could filter out based off of the commission percentage. Now, I remember when I was just getting started in real estate, I remember getting calls on my very first listing, which is a listing that I sold pretty much for free for one of my friends as I was getting practice. So he was only offering, I think at the beginning was like 1.5 or 2% to the buyer's agent. Remember, I'm pretty much working for free for experience, which in hindsight, that was not the best decision at all. But anyway, we're going to forget that. So I remember getting calls from agents saying, hey, I think that there's a mistake. And they were so professional at it too. Like, hey, I think that you made a mistake. I see here there's 2% commission to the buyer's agent. And for me, I didn't know any better nor any worse, but it's just something I didn't necessarily know why they were inquiring. So I remember saying, yeah, that's no, that's correct. And then I'd never hear anything back from them. So they wouldn't schedule an appointment. So I remember calling my mentor at the time, Charles, and asking him why that was a thing. He went on to explain to me, well, what some agents do, not us, but what some agents would do is if it's anything that's below 3%, some agents don't go and show that home. Why? Well, because the delta, they either don't feel comfortable or didn't want to go to their buyers and get that additional delta, which is in the buyer agreement in most cases. So the agents at that time were not necessarily doing that. And also agents that, remember, if you're looking at the average transaction count per agent a year, you're looking at 3 to 4 transactions per year. So agents that have a buyer that's ready, willing, and able to, for them, that 0.5% or that 4% was huge for them, right? So they had let's call it a client, let's call it a golden ticket of a client that they could go on and purchase a property and get the full 3% in other homes. So in the homes that are offering 2%, commonly with investors, you're going to see this quite a bit, that offer less commission or less than 2%, they would actually not show that home. Now, that is let's acknowledge that that's what some bad apples. The majority of the agents don't do this, of course, but there are some bad apples that's what they would do. And that ultimately kind of bit us all in the butt at the end of the day, and where you're having these types of conversations come up where what they're alleging in some cases is true. In some cases, they are, you have the agents that are not showing homes or are going and showing homes that only have the commission that they are after. So the higher buy side commission. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that the rest of the allegations are true, but in specific situations, the ones that I just mentioned here, yeah, that did happen, or that does happen in a very, very minute amount of situations. It's not enough to swing the entire industry altogether and upend it, but Yeah, in that particular case, that's what's happening. So a status hearing in the case is scheduled for March 19th. So this newest lawsuit that's come up from Illinois is the third in that particular state. So probably tomorrow there's going to be another state that files another lawsuit here on the commission front. So we'll make sure to cover it. But if you have any questions in the meantime, let me know. Comment down below what you think about what is going on. Where do you think this is going to go? What's 2024 going to look like? Let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts.